One aspect that many people kind of seem to forget that is the United States is a necessary force for balance in the world. Balance tends to be better done when there's three, because nobody can take too much because then the other two would take care of it. For instance, like the U.S. couldn't invade Russia and China at the same time, or vice versa, because they don't have power projection right now. But like for instance, even though I am Chinese, I have no love for the CCP, which is the Chinese Communist Party. And still, I insist that the United States needs to be a force to, counteract them. We could reach a scenario kind of like in Starship Troopers, which is a great book, and I recommend everyone read it. It's way better than the movie, but the movie is enjoyable nonetheless. No, it's not fascism. No, it's not any of those things. The movie was just a parody of that thing. Blah blah blah. We can keep going on that. If you think Starship Troopers is fascism, then what can I tell you? You were dropped as a child. You didn't get enough omega 3. You're rioting and asking for welfare half the time. I don't know, something like that. So, come November, the choice, has to be very, very thought carefully. If there's someone who's basically just offering you welfare all the time, you're not gonna reach anywhere. A country can only do one or two things: either focus on empire or focus on welfare. And it can do a lot more if they focus on neither of those things, which could be the case. I mean, you could still be a force to be reckoned with without, going around pushing everyone around. So that is doable, and let's be honest, that has only basically wasted a lot of the U.S. military strength recently, to the point, as I said, that the other two powers are basically uninvadable by the U.S. I mean, oh yeah, sure, if we send everything at them. Yeah, but the wars don't work that way. I mean, even your fleet, you can only send one third of it. Because one has to be in maintenance, the other one has to be in overhaul, and they have to rotate. You can't just keep them there and send them, for instance, all 12 supercarriers over there to be at the shores, which, by the way, they will be shot at. So, four carriers against one of them, I don't think it's going to end that well. And that's assuming you send all four carriers and you leave everything else in the world totally alone. You have nothing else anywhere. Don't forget that, because basically you have only a tours of four in different regions, one in the Mediterranean, Middle East, two in the Pacific, stuff like that. So if you send all four to the Pacific, you left all the other places open, which could be a possibility. But as I said, this is very important to keep this type of balance in the world, and this type of balance actually allows, ironically, some prosperity, because there is this type of peace, even though it's let's call it like a latent war, if you want to see it that way. But under a threat of war, it's better to live under a threat of war than an actual war. If, but the threat of war is basically peace if you're not shooting at each other. Other than that, let me tell you that I recommend also watching the Watchmen, not the Netflix series, which is a travesty. And whoever did it, whoever directed it, whoever wrote it, let's just say I can't tell you what they should do. Oh, I know. They could pull an Epstein. There you go. And odds are they're going to be in Ghislaine Maxwell's list. Which is another thing. It is very interesting that all this is coming out, all these very high profile figures are coming out to be pedos, and nobody's doing anything. Like, literally, I mean, if you're gonna protest for, again, as I said, George Floyd shouldn't have been killed. What they did was horrible, but he wasn't a saint either. Not that he deserved death at that point in his life. If someone would have shot him when he was aiming at the pregnant woman's, belly, sure, that would have been fine. And, I don't care. They should have shot his dick off or something. I don't care. But doing what they did later, not good. So I can understand the anger, and as I said in the previous video, we have to understand the Black American plight. So it is understandable, but again, one thing is a protest, another thing is a riot. That, no. However, there is none for this. Can you imagine these people have been involved in thousands upon thousands, tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of child rapes, of child trafficking, kidnapping, among other things, and people are just gonna say, well, let's give them a pass. Because, yeah, I know, when I take a shower, my hair becomes poofy like a dog. Let's give them a pass because "Ew, he gave me welfare," or something like that. I mean, that's literally the only argument many people have, and it's terrible. But again, I recommend watch The Watchmen. Great movie. Umbrella Academy is also up on Netflix. That one is pretty good. Not The Watchmen on Netflix. That one's terrible. And that's it. Again, please think your vote. Think about the future and think to keep America, the U.S., as a power, as a pole, you know, in a multipolar world, as a pole to help balance. Like, for instance, in the future, as I said, Starship Troopers, if you reach a point like China might reach, given their population and their ever increasing productivity. In the book, basically, they had to fight an alliance between the U.S., England, and Russia. England right now is basically irrelevant, but if China became as protective as the U.S. is now, yeah, you would need them both to counter it. The book doesn't clearly state who won, but they reached a type of entente, a peace agreement, and eventually the whole world turned into the Human Federation, which is, an open republic. And the only difference is that you need to earn your right to vote, which to me is pretty good. Like I've been dissing on welfare right now, but basically, if like you're a welfare whore, you shouldn't get a right to vote. Why? You think, oh, that's unfair, that's undemocratic. No, it's not, because what are you gonna vote? You're gonna vote for more welfare. That's literally the only thing you will do, and this is what's kept all these pedos in power. So there's a logic behind that. People who have welfare don't deserve the right to vote. People who produce for society do. That's the difference. So there you go. That's my 2 cents. Well, it's like a buck 20, right? But okay, have a great one, everyone. Take care.